Welcome to the Tales of Drunken Adventures podcast. I'm your host, Mitchell Mountain, and in this podcast, I will be regaling you with various tales of drunken stupors, bad decisions, and nights long lost, only to be retold by friends the very next day. On this episode, I have a special guest and good friend of mine, Nick Newmar, to help talk about a Halloween party that we got separated at and never saw each other for the rest of the night. Welcome everybody. With me today, I have my good friend here, Nick Newmar. Nick, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Yep, and Nick is here today, and you're here to tell a nice little story that we've actually we've gone on an adventure together, right?
Oh yes, you're talking about Halloween, aren't you?
Yes, when we were our sophomore year when we went to Cabin in the Woods, which was the name, but also held truth to it because it was a cabin in the woods. But
it was descriptive. It was on point.
But yeah, so I know our plan going to this event was we would link up and go there together, and that was what we did. We may have gone there together, but we didn't leave together, did we?
Nope. No, yeah.
So how about we just like kind of walk there? How about you tell me about your kind of like, I guess, kind of preparations for the night, like. You don't have to talk me through like prepping for the whole day, but like kind of leading up to like, I guess, getting to the pregame and getting ready to like head out towards it. So why don't you like walk me through that? Because I know like you're living with Thomas and all them.
Yeah,
kids, so.
yeah. I was hanging with a couple guys that year. We, just I guess it was a pretty classic pregame. Just got some sodas, some liquor, and mixed it all together. I had a lethal sweet tea and whiskey combination that would come back to bite me later in the night.
Wait, sweet tea and whiskey? I didn't even know about this. When did you do that?
Well, I came with two bottles. There was like a Coke and whiskey, classic.
Yeah.
It works. But then I just needed I didn't want to have two Coke and whiskeys for some reason. That probably would have been better. But so I grabbed like a sweet tea at the Circle K, and just put a shit ton of whiskey in it.
I'll say that's like an interesting thing there. Also, because this was a Halloween party, I know. Did you dress up for anything? I can't remember.
Yeah.
What'd you dress up as?
It was a minimalist outfit, but it was a pirate costume. Yeah, I had like the do-rag thing. I had a sword, but I think I lost the sword at some point. But
yeah, because I couldn't remember what you dressed as, but I remember at that time I had like that. I actually still have it, but that red panda onesie. I remember that's what I wore there. That was hot as shit.
Dude, I can imagine that thing looked pretty cozy.
But yeah. So like I remember heading over to your dorm room and like meeting up there, and I got to meet your roommates and everything, and you guys like mixed quite a few bottles of whiskey, Coke, rum and Coke, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
we had all this stuff.
You had all this stuff, and you put it in like a grocery bag or some type of bag or something.
Oh yeah, the whole bag incident.
We'll go into that. We'll work into that.
Yeah. It was like like an athletic string bag. I don't know what like the proper word for those is.
The little like string.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Yeah, so like we had all that. We did some pre-gaming at your place a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we all got an Uber together and rode over to this place. Now this place was like outside of Nashville.
Yeah, it was kind of out there.
It's like what, 40 minutes outside Nashville or something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it was literally in the woods in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all linked up. We got in the Uber, drove over, and I think like our Uber driver just dropped us off at the
like the entrance
at the entrance of the driveway. And so we had to like walk the entire driveway, and I think this is like the longest driveway I've ever walked.
It felt like just taking a walk in the woods like to get somewhere.
Yeah, it was a hike just to fucking get to the actual party itself from the driveway. But getting back to the bag situation, on our way up to it, why don't you explain what happened from your perspective on that?
Okay, so Well, let me preface this by saying we go to Belmont. Well, we went to Belmont which is a little stricter when it comes to alcohol and stuff like that. And this wasn't a Belmont hosted event. It was Belmont students, but Belmont had nothing to do with it, obviously.
Yeah, so like I don't mean to step on you, but I'll just like explain it a little bit more. Where it's like this, so this whole like party thing was like, since Belmont's like a huge music school and everything, some of the students students got together and formed like their own organizations, not sponsored by Belmont, but they were Belmont students, and like other students would volunteer to like work these events. So like there'd be Belmont students acting as security or like overseeing the audio for bands and stuff that would come in and whatnot. So it was like a Belmont student run organization, but it was not Belmont sponsored. So
they planned like events, like so this was more than just like a party. It was like an event. Like there were multiple bands, multiple DJs, like it was like a legit operation. So they had security. Like I knew the security guy. It was just another Belmont student. But my friend holding the bag, he decided to like freak out as soon as he saw the security, and he in a very Walking Dead moment dropped the bag and it's like, well, I'm not going in with that alcohol.
Yeah, no, it was literally like. It was like a scene from a movie where like he just drops it and we're all kind of like in a circle, just looking at this bag in the middle of us, in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not taking it. And everyone finally like would start just pussying out, being like, I'm not taking the bag. I'm not taking the bag. It's like, what's the worst they're gonna do? Tell you can't take the bag in, and then you say, screw you and take it in, like
and it's not like we didn't even have bottles of alcohol. We had bottles of Coke. And sweet tea, like that. You'd have to open and take a sip of.
They'd have to fucking drink it or like stick their nose in it and smell it. Like they'd have to uncork it and go, hey, wait a minute, wait a second.
Exactly. And again, like these are student security, like they're obviously not looking even for alcohol. They're looking for like weapons or like drugs, because there was like probably multiple hundred people that like ended up coming to this thing. Like,
there were. I think they let out the actual statistic at the end of the party. Like this party had, I think, 1,100 to 1,200 people total.
Yeah, it was a lot of people. So I get why they had security, but obviously they're not looking for alcohol at a college party. They're looking for more dangerous stuff.
No, I mean even when we walked, like they had their own like service bar there that they were like running, and like volunteers were bartending and shit like that. Like they weren't caring about that. But anyway, so like I remember at one point you told me like I know at one point I thought about like just picking it up and being like, fuck it, but did you pick it up? Who was the one that finally said fuck it and just picked it up?
Yeah, it was me.
so you said fuck it, picked it up, and we like. So we walk up. We finally get to the entrance with their table, and they had like I think 2 students standing kind of on the side as like actual, I guess, security, and then 2 people kind of manning the table to like take tickets and whatever for that, and like all that. So like we stopped in the middle of the woods and walking up to it for this whole bag situation, and what ends up happening is like we get up there and they don't even search the fucking bag. They just let us in.
Let us go.
They just let us go. So it was like no big deal at all. We sat there for like 5 minutes at least.
It was just a silly moment. And I say Walking Dead moment because it's like one of those things like, it's more about like the implication behind it. Like, oh, like you're willing to just like puss out this quickly and like have us all just like go sober basically to this thing. Like,
that was not the move. I can tell you that much. Not the move.
It was not the move for the group.
Yeah. So I think at this point, I think this is where it gets a little bit more interesting because, like I said, we showed up together, but we didn't leave together because, like, I think immediately as we walked in, we immediately got separated.
Oh, basically.
And I don't think I really even saw you for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So this is like same party, but 2 different sides of the story. So why don't you? We'll do this. Like, why don't you walk us through what you remember walking in a little bit first? Like, tell me what you remember. Going into it.
So we actually were together for a very brief amount of time. I think we showed up. We almost immediately went to like the indoor like mosh pit basically.
Yeah. So how this like party was like set up is like it was literally a cabin in the woods. So like surrounded by woods, there's this house, and then with like a nice sprawling yard, and so you walk in, and like you have the house to the right, and then in front of you a little bit of ways up the yard you have this like makeshift bar that they made for people to come in and get drinks, and then farther right, kind of behind the house in the corner, was a stage set up for an outdoor band. So that's where like the outdoor activities, and that was more live band stuff. And inside the house it had its own thing of activities as well. There was pong, there was a DJ in there that was doing like house clubs. So you had like an outside band area, and then you had inside like club vibe area. So that was kind of like the setup for this party. So sorry to.
Oh no, you're good. I just wanted to
paint the picture.
Yeah, paint the picture. Yeah.
So, continue, please.
So yeah, like we both went in there, and we were like dancing near each other for like a little bit. I wasn't really that intoxicated at this point, but I was trying to get there. So yeah, like I don't really remember how we got separated from there, but that was the last I remember seeing you, I think, because you dancing in that red panda
outfit, getting like sweaty as shit, like just dancing around. I think when we got separated is when I think we were both like, we thought about stepping out for a moment, dancing or whatever, because I remember I think we went into the house because we were getting the scope of things. We were trying to walk around and get the layout, see what was going on. And then we went in the house, and the house was like super packed. Like ridiculously packed. Like you could have thought the floor was gonna fall in with how many people were in there.
It was
ridiculous. Yeah, like you're grinding on someone just trying to walk through the damn like building. But yeah, so like we stepped out, I think, to catch some air and cool off. But I think that's where we got separated, because there was just a huge amount of people there.
Yeah.
So why don't you go into what happened to you after we like kind of separated?
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Well, it was funny because I actually got separated from like everybody, like not just you and me, like the whole group that we showed up with was in their own area. Like that's how like big this party was, like that you can lose like 4 people and not see them for the rest of the night. So I guess I was just kind of wandering around. I was listening to the live music outside for a while. I was smoking a bit as well, which will like also come into play later. I was starting to feel quite a way. I remember at some point they played Around the World by Daft Punk outside, and I was just like vibing to it, just having a great time.
You're just over there sitting on the sidelines, just bobbing.
Yeah. And then, oh man, I guess the thing about drinking stories is it's hard to remember like everything. Yeah, man,
it's hard to remember.
Happens.
Try and remember what you can.
Let me get to like, because I think a lot of it was just that kind of thing, like running into people randomly. I'll like fast forward a bit to when I got back with my buddy Thomas. He had like gone, and he's like a musician, so he like found some of his like musician friends and like hotboxed a car or something, and so he was also feeling like away. So we started hanging out. I had drank my whole Coke concoction and like half of the sweet tea one. And I remember we were just like walking around. We were like playing characters, I think. Like we were in our costumes, so we were kind of like going off that and just like trying to like create characters for ourselves. So we were just like talking weird. I remember talking to a guy dressed as Negan, because that was when like that was happening. I've mentioned Walking Dead like twice now. I don't actually really watch that show.
Dude, but it was big at the time. Everyone was
yeah, he was dressed as Negan, so I like walked up to him like, how dare you? Like spoilers, but well, not really. It's still vague. But yeah, and then I think the downfall for me was when like someone offered me a cigarette, and I already had a couple things in my system, had a cigarette, I was feeling good. We decided to sit up against a fence, and like we were just talking and everything was fine, and then suddenly it was not. Like suddenly I was just puking.
You just hit the wall.
Yeah,
the wall came in.
Just puking like all over myself. It was disgusting. I remember like making fun of people. Well, not making fun, but like laughing, because other people around me had already been puking, and it was like, ha, sucks to be those guys. And then I would join them like very quickly.
Karma's a bitch. That's what that taught you.
Yeah. And then so like my buddy, he like stayed with me through that, and for a while it's like one of the worst like too drunk experiences, because I just couldn't talk. Like I could barely lift my head up at that point. Like I was just gone for a while, and he like stayed with me, and I was like the minimum amount of consciousness like you could probably have. And I I remember like one funny thing happened that was kind of surreal. While I was like sitting there covered in puke, he's sitting next to me. This girl we knew came up to him, like sat on his lap and started like making out with him, and he like had to push her off of him, and he's like, "Hey, like I have a girlfriend, I can't do that."
Wait. So like, did she know him?
Yeah, she knew him, and
so she knew him. Did she know he had a boyfriend?
I think so. Yeah.
So and she's obviously gone, right?
Yeah, she was pretty. Everybody was gone at this point.
Yeah. So no, here's my thing about that. It's like, I think alcohol brings out like kind of some of our true natures.
Yeah.
You think that she's like, no, your girlfriend doesn't deserve you. I deserve you. That type of shit.
Oh well, I don't know if she was really even thinking about it that much.
I mean, that's the thing. You're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's just like
maybe deep down, but like I think she clearly was attracted to him, and that might have just been all it was just attraction. Add some alcohol to that, and then things happen.
It just goes off. The animal instinct takes over.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But yeah, I respected him for that move too, because he was very.
No, that's very respectful.
So, yeah.
Dude. Yeah. No, like that's similar to like an earlier episode I talked about in the podcast.
Yeah. So he stayed with me. He was so happy when I finally talked again, because it was like a while. I was just for a while I couldn't do anything. Like,
you were just incapacitated.
Yeah, I was just a combination of things going through my system, and yeah. So then eventually I was talking again, and it was around then that we decided to leave.
So here's my question: about what time do you guys think you left the party?
Oh gosh, I don't even know.
No, wait. It was around. I think it was around the same time, because I think I saw you guys when I was about to head out. Because
I think I shot you a text or something. Like, I don't know where you are, but we're leaving.
No, I think I know I remember that, because I think I texted you or something. I was like, "Yo, where you guys at?" And you're like, "We're gone." I was like, "Oh."
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. I didn't mean to abandon you.
No problem. I mean, like, as many people as there were, especially like at the end, like with the amount of there was a huge line of cars.
Oh, it was a shit show.
That fucking car line for the Ubers was
gosh.
like you would have thought it was the fucking Oscars with how many fucking cars were there.
But in the woods. If the Oscars was in the woods.
Oscars in the woods. But yeah, so like I'll go ahead and tell my side of what I remember. And if like anything pops up for you as I'm talking, like please just let me know, and you can step in or whatever.
All right.
But I remember, so we stepped out, I guess, to cool off, and then somehow we got separated. I don't remember how we got separated in that moment, but we got separated, and I guess I kind of like walked around a little bit, and I ran into a hell of a lot of people that I knew, but like. So like at that time, I also like, because we're film majors from Belmont. So I worked on this film from a guy who wasn't at Belmont. He was from another school, but I helped him with a film of his. He was there. He was actually doing like filmography for this fucking party, and like I ran into him, and he's like, and he was gone, dude. Like he's actually like he's working. He's supposed to be filming the promotional video for this thing, like for them to show like the recap video, and he's like drunk. It was hilarious.
Oh
so I got to talk to him for a little bit, and then out of nowhere, I feel this like I'm kind of like in the outside area with the band, and out of nowhere I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, and guess who it is?
Who?
Ethan and brother.
Oh shit!
I turn around and they're just like Mitch. I'm like, and my drunk ass is just like, hey, and they go, hey. So like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I like hung out with them for a little bit. I think they had like a concoction, and they like gave me a little bit of it. Yeah, but I think my night was mostly spent just going back and forth between outside and inside the dance floor. And I reached a point, I remember, like I wore my Red Panda outfit like completely on for like a good like first half part of the party, and like people would like come up to me and be like, what is that? And I'm like, it's a red panda. And because red pandas are endangered, I just be like, save the red pandas, like co-populate with me.
Hey, nice
as a shitty pickup line.
I've heard worse.
I have too. But like I remember being in the dance floor area at one point, and I was just sweating so much that I like took the top part of, like, so it's like a one piece thing, and I like took the top part off and just wrapped the armbands around my waist.
Nice.
So I wasn't even in like my outfit anymore. I was just in a white t-shirt with this like onesie wrapped around my waist. Yeah, that was crazy. The thing that like stands out to me, I guess, the most at that party was, was towards as it was like winding down was, I came across these like two girls. They were dressed as Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy,
Hey.
and like I could tell they were like freshmen. Also at this party because it was so big. Just quick sidestep there because it ties into this.
Yeah.
There were people not even from Tennessee. Like, and I'm not talking about like, living that like, are from other states and go to school there. No, like full grown adults, like people who are like in their 20s from other states at this party. Like, did you ever see that? Did you ever talk to anyone like that?
I was probably too drunk to notice.
Oh my God, dude. Like that was the thing that shook me. So like it ties into this because like the two girls, the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy girls, I talked to them and like I can tell they're kind of like freshmen. They're like young.
Yeah.
So I was not really interested in hooking up with any of them. I was just kind of talking to them because I was like, I could use someone to talk to. They're not they were just standing there, like not even enjoying anything. So I tried talking to them at least to like, hey, like you're supposed to have fun here. So like I was talking to them, and then this dude who comes up, I swear this dude is like 25, 26. Dude comes up and starts trying to talk to him and hit on him, and I find out when he's talking because I'm like still kind of I'm not really like engaged with them anymore. I'm kind of like on the side, but I'm still listening in on them. And I hear the guy talk about how he's from fucking Dakota.
What?
Dude is from fucking Dakota, and like I learned that he was from Dakota, and found out about this party somehow, and then traveled here for the party. Like what the fuck,
dude? You gotta like drag me to a party most of the time. I'm not gonna.
Who the fuck does that?
Jeez. Someone who's got like nothing going on where they live, I guess.
Exactly. But yeah, so he's like, it was so funny. Like I just remember this so much because it was so funny watching him try and hit on these freshman girls who are you can tell are completely uncomfortable with the situation.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he didn't. I saw them leave. And not with him. Like he got stood up. He got left.
Oh, that's good.
He got left, which I was like, thank God. But it was like kind of fucking funny to watch these girls just like, and like he like started dancing and pulled one of them to dance with him, and she like danced with him for like 2 minutes, and then she like sidestepped away. You know that thing where you're like dancing and then you slowly back away as you dance. She was doing that. And I'm meanwhile just over there just laughing my ass off.
Just watching it all
take place. Oh my God! But yeah, and then I also remember, you remember Katie?
Oh, another MOT?
Yeah, you remember Katie? Like she came up to me like, oh my God, dude, she was blasted. She was gone. She came up to me at one point and was like, and she like yelled it, and she was like yelling my name and everything, and she's like, "Can you guess what I am?" Like her costume, and I looked her up and down, like just looking her up and down, and just go, "You a cave woman?" And she goes, no one else has been able to guess that.
What?
I'm like, are you kidding me? You're what?
Why though?
If no one can guess you're a cave woman from the rags and tatters you're wearing and the bone in your hair, I don't know what these people are smoking. Like, Jesus Christ.
Dude, people knew what I was, and I had like one garment.
Yeah, I don't like, dude, I couldn't even remember what you were wearing. I mean, what'd you do for this past Halloween? Shaggy?
Yeah,
green shirt.
That's my best costume. I guess this is a podcast, so there's no visual aid. When I like grow my hair out and my facial hair out, and I'm wearing a green shirt, I'm like a dead ringer.
You look like live action Shaggy. You look like live action.
I've gotten it just for wearing a green shirt, so I was like, why don't I just put on some cords and like complete the look?
Complete the look. And it's so funny because people would guess it too at that point.
Yeah. Funny. Yeah. Like, are you Shaggy?
Are you Shaggy?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, if people are able to guess you're a fucking pirate.
Yeah, like one little do-rag on my head. Oh, man.
Yeah, but...
Is that all you remember from the night?
And then I just, like... So, like, as it was dying down, I remember, like, heading up, and didn't they have a fireplace kind of towards the front?
I think so.
Yeah, I remember, like, going up there and talking to some people. Oh, yeah, do you remember if the cops were like threatened to be coming?
I don't know. I feel like I hear that at a lot of functions.
I know, but like I remember this. Like I remember as it was like, this was before it was like winding down. But like people were kind of starting to head out. I heard like the cops were called, and I remember looking up in the woods at one point, and it looked like red and blue lights
Oh yeah,
flashing, and I really started freaking out. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?"
Yeah. Here's the thing though. I bet even if it did happen, like the people running that thing probably handled it like so well because they were professional as fuck. Like
They
let's
were
be real,
professionals,
like,
but my thing is like I don't even know where the complaint would come from.
yeah, honestly,
Where-
we're out there. Like
Here's the
who's-
thing: if that line of Uber cars, like the line of cars for Ubers, didn't fucking cause any problems out
Yeah.
there, then there's no fucking way our music and shit's doing that.
Nah, it was a very like well organized thing. Like I remember when I was, comatose, leaning up against the fence, they came over to me and like asked me if I like needed anything, and they got me like cranberry juice
Oh
to
my
drink
God.
and stuff. Like yeah, like they were
Dude, they gave you
They were
full
legit,
service. They gave
yeah.
you full
like
service.
they didn't like kick me out like you might expect somebody just in that state. No, they helped me out.
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I remember like when I was heading out, like again heading down, and I like text you guys, and you guys were like, "Oh, we're already gone." And yeah, I cannot emphasize like this fucking line for the cars. I like how far do you think? I literally think it stretched for like a mile.
Oh, it was insane.
That car line was ridiculous. Like my Uber driver, like I remember he called me. He's like, "Hey, like, can you just walk to me?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Tell me what you look like." I'm like, "I'm holding up a giant onesie." I took my onesie off like completely. I had some like shorts and stuff underneath, so I wasn't naked or
Nice.
anything. But like I remember like I balled it up and held it up above my head. I just walked down the line of cars. I'm like, I'm holding up a giant like onesie. So if you see a person holding a onesie with one hand with a phone to their ear, that's me. Just do something to get my attention. And luckily it worked out.
Nice.
How long did it take for you guys to get out of that
Get out
shit?
of there, dude. I don't
Yeah.
even know. Like, I was still recovering at that point, so like that all felt like a dream. Like getting weighted, but it was a shit show. Like that's when I realized how many people were there. Really
Oh my
was
god.
was for all those Ubers. Jeez,
Yeah.
especially given that like multiple people were going in every single one of those cars. Like,
Oh my god, yeah. I
That's
can like
insane.
have you heard about did you know some people like drove there and like found parking? Do you know
Really?
do you want to know how far the parking was? I remember this. You
Nah.
remember how far the parking was for people who drove there?
nah.
Parking was like 1.5 miles away.
Get
They
a
walked
hike to
one and
the
a half
party.
fucking miles,
That's
and
a
then they had to
hike
walk
right
down
there.
that driveway.
Jesus, nah. That was like it was never even gonna in the question.
I remember
really.
like that. I think that was mentioned when we were like
Yeah.
talking about that. We were like, well, someone could drive us, and it's like we looked and they were like,
Nah.
because they like sent out like a designated parking area for people to park at, but it was like 1.5 miles away from the location. It was like, nah,
Yeah, nah, fuck that.
nah.
Not gonna happen. Yeah, that was a crazy night. A fun one though.
Yeah, it was,
For the
it
most
was
part.
super fun. Oh yeah, also I remember when brother came up to me out of the middle of nowhere, like literally in the middle of nowhere outside, and he pulls out a backpack. He's like, here's this. He's like, you need a Red Bull. Here's a Red Bull, and he had a backpack full of Red
Oh
Bulls.
my god.
And he gives me one,
That's
and I just
amazing.
chug it. Because I think at that point it was like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, fuck it. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here. Might as well chug it.
Dude, that's funny because like I have a similar encounter with like Ethan and brother, but it was at a different gathering. It was the first. That was like I want to say that was like the second event that group put on, but the first one they put on, it was like they called it like Project X or something corny as fuck
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
I forgot what it's called.
No, Project Z. my
Project,
guy.
yeah, something like
Project
that.
Z.
But I remember like, oh my gosh, I was just like out of my mind, and I remember like Ethan just popping out of nowhere, and like this was before like we knew each other, but we didn't know each other as like
And it's
obviously
before
as
we were all
well.
like actually really good friends.
Yeah, and he's like, I just remember leaning up against the wall. He's like talking to me, and I'm just not, I'm not hearing any of it because I'm just like out of my mind at that point. But that was funny, funny
Oh
little,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell me how'd you feel the next morning?
Oh man, dude, I don't even remember. Like I'm
You're so gone. You
Yeah.
couldn't remember the next day.
like I'm like pretty good when it comes to hangovers. Like I'm just kind of lucky in that regard. It takes a lot for me to like feel like shit the next day.
Yeah.
So, but that was a lot.
Yeah. I think this was the party I came back to my dorm from, and I crawled into bed to fall asleep. throw on the bed, fall asleep. I tried to for like 20 minutes, couldn't do it. Then I crawl out of bed to the bathroom. I don't throw up. I just remember going to the bathroom, over to the toilet, and getting ready to throw up, but I never did. And then the next thing I know, I just wake up hugging the toilet, like curled up on the floor, like spooning the toilet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Dude, yeah, I must have blocked it out of my mind, whatever that next day was like.
Whatever happened there.
I don't recall.
Man. Well, fun times.
Fun times, man. It's crazy to think that was like how many years ago now?
That was like, what, 3 years ago?
Oh,
now?
yeah, at least. Like, that was crazy. Sophomore year.
Yep.
It's a lifetime ago.
Crazy time. Did you go to the second Cabin in the Woods or whatever? The one that wasn't in the Cabin in the Woods? Did you go to that one?
The one that sucked?
Yeah, the one that was like not as good.
I think if it was like an indoor area.
Yeah, the indoor area.
And okay bands, not great though. Then yeah, I was there.
All right, maybe sometime we'll have to come back because I know I didn't go with you on that one.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have 2 different experiences for that one.
Oh, for sure. Mine's actually pretty lame at that one, but
Well, I'm sure
I got plenty of other drinking stories.
Well, hopefully you'll come back on at some point and share
some,
man.
Anytime, man.
Yep,
It was a pleasure.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that tale, and remember to tune in for more. I'll be posting an episode every Saturday. If you yourself have a drunken adventure you'd like shared out into the world, send them over to todarequests@gmail.com. That's TODA requests@gmail.com. Show support for the podcast by telling your friends about it and getting as many ears listening as we can. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep your drinks cold and the party going.